Welcome viewers to our next episode of the Future of Work Knowledge series that we are doing, where we're bringing together HR leaders from different industries to share their perspective on how they see HR evolving, how they see technology playing a role in this journey moving forward, and what is it the future of work that we are looking at. Today's focus that we're looking at is around performance management as an area. Right. So at Amoeboids, we conducted a global CHRO study, and in which about 45% of respondents said that it's important that we start aligning performance management with OKRs or aligning the employee goals with the organization strategy, so that the motivation will be better, and hence the productivity and performance will be better. So to talk more about that, today I have my guest speaker, Dr. Pramod Solanki. He's a HR veteran with over 26 years of experience in the HR space. He's been rated among the top 100 HR thought leaders in India. He's held senior HR leadership roles in various organizations like Sun Pharma, L&T, among others. He's currently consulting with a lot of organizations and helping them pave the path to be future ready from an HR standpoint. So Pramod, really nice to have you with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karthik. And thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this topical conversation.
Yeah. So Pramod, how can performance management be reinvented to cater to the new normal that we have, which is about this remote working or hybrid working, gig workforce, which has come into picture? So how do you think performance management can be reinvented?
So Karthik, actually performance management has needed some tweaking for quite some time. And I agree with you. What is now needed is reinventing it. So what has happened is so much has changed in the external ecosystem, so to say. As a consequence, the internal ecosystem has also very substantially changed. So in the first place, I think organizations need to revisit the goals that they had been setting, let's say, until 1920 or 1819. You cannot have the same percentage of growth, obviously, that you had been having, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years before the pandemic hit. Therefore, step one is please reevaluate, are your organizational goals in sync with the current realities, external and internal? Once that is in place, then of course you need to do this exercise of deriving it for the teams, deriving it for the cross-functional teams, and deriving it for the individual role holders, because even there things have changed. People are operating in a pretty different kind of a context, different kind of a support system, internal and external. And you have to contextualize the goals that you set and the timelines that you set for today. So this revisiting across levels is one important element of reinvention, if you like. The second piece is, it has always been a weakness of performance management system that people have tied it with either a quarterly review exercise or a 6-monthly exercise, and most commonly the yearly review exercise. While those are certainly important milestones, but unless the reporting hierarchy is in regular touch with the employees at large, how are they doing, where there is a need for some developmental focus coaching, where there is a need for some other support system so that they can continue performing. So unless this ongoing communication and connect becomes a part of a robust performance management system, even the best of systems will fail. Yeah. Gallup did this study about a decade back, somewhere in 2011-12, and of Indian organizations, so the top-notch Indian organizations. And what they found, that about more than 50% of appraisees whom they spoke to, they were unhappy with the way performance management was administered. And the biggest gap they saw was the way feedback was administered, to the appraisee cadres. That ability, that frequency, periodicity was found wanting. And that was one of the major reasons why people felt that, performance management system is actually not delivering. So if anything, this pandemic has only accentuated that need, and therefore ongoing communication will need to be an important part of PMS.
So true. So I think realignment at how you're setting the goals itself is the starting point, and from there on kind of relook at everything under a new lens. So in our study, there was a lot of focus which came on the adoption of objectives and key results, or OKRs, as part of this entire performance management itself. But again, these are different versions for different people, and depending on the maturity level of the organization, the adoption may be different. So from your experience now for over 2 decades, how should organizations actually approach this journey of adopting OKRs for performance management?
As a system, as a structure, I also agree that OKR methodology has some advantages over traditional performance management systems that we have seen. But that having been said, what will really add value to the system and to the organization where it is adopted is how you derive objectives, the O of OKR, how in what inclusive manner you derive the objectives from the organizational goals, and then from that you set the key results and the units of measurement. If you do it as a purely corporate office and a boardroom exercise, it is not going to be, delivering. You need to be a lot more iterative, having representation with the relevant levels of people for whom OKRs are being crafted. And it'll have to be iterative process. The earlier piece of having communication and looking at how the achievement is coming along, the units of measurements are coming along. Is there any misalignment there? So if we run it as a vibrant process rather than a one-time exercise, I am in agreement that this structure has certain advantages. It aligns individuals, teams, effort with the organizational goals a lot better than some of the traditional exercises methods have done. But like I said, the vibrancy, the ongoing communication, the reiteration that is needed will have to be a part of it for the methodology to become something that employees across the levels identify it and see it as a enabler of performance. Whether OKR or any other method earlier, the biggest weakness of this system has been that employees down the line have seen it as a system that delivers rewards and also punishments to them, by way of lower grades or lower increments. Unfortunately, that's a last part of the whole exercise. The rest of it, which is where the meat lies in terms of how do you derive teams and individual goals from the organizational goals, how effectively you have enabling feedback conversations so that it becomes a way of improving performance on an ongoing basis. Unfortunately, all of those parts have not received the attention that they should receive, neither from the managers and then therefore also from the employees. Employees have continued to see, in a very large number of organizations, of course, exception is the rule, employees have continued to see this system as a tool for administering a reward and a punishment. And unless that is changed by HR leaders, business leaders, and reporting hierarchy at large, you will have challenges in terms of deriving value out of it.
True. So that was an important aspect that you touched about, how managers are kind of handling this also. So what the pandemic has done is it's kind of disrupted how the traditional ways of working were, and now we have the remote or hybrid work, which has also come into picture. So from a performance management standpoint, also that has its implications. So how can managers or leaders be coached to manage the workforce differently in this new normal? Be it on a day-to-day basis, how they're managing their teams or they're motivating them, or even when it comes to performance evaluation as well.
Sure, that's an important point you touch, Karthik. Uh, Managers have always needed to be more, if I may say, inclusive, um, communicate more, engage more, share more feedback. But in the last 2 years, and maybe for, I don't know for how long, and for all the time to come, maybe that need has become even more pronounced. Because now you don't have the option of, employees working under your nose, so to say, and remote working, hybrid working, work from anywhere are all real possibilities. Realities, and they are here to stay. And unless you, as a manager and as an organization, are able to cultivate a strong sense of ownership across the levels, ownership of deliverables of the organization, ownership of keeping customers happy, and the overall responsibility, it is not going to be manageable just by manager breathing down the neck of, it's not practical anymore. So therefore, that need is a lot more pronounced than it has ever been. So I have, and interestingly, many organizations have made significant investment in this area. So for me, a couple of important areas of coaching for the managers are: how do you work with higher levels of delegation with your team? How do you develop a metric that can tell you that yes, even when they are not working right under your nose, you are happy with the metric of productivity that you have developed for yourself? Some metric for customer engagement, customer management, customer satisfaction. So managers really need to step up in terms of their abilities to lead remotely by nurturing these skills of effective delegation, more engaging style of working with their employees, and finding more time to connect and engage. Because when people were at the workplace, physical workplace, some part of it happened during in the water cooler conversation, coffee hour conversation, without having to spend any time and effort. Some of it was taken care. Now all of that is luxury is not there. So unless you have to make a conscious effort to engage with your people, create forums for your people where they could connect on non-work related matters. You cannot take that connect for granted, which one took for granted when everyone was working at one place. So these are some of the areas where managers need to be coached, because now you cannot ignore them anymore.
True.
Yeah.
So my last question, Pramod, is how do you see the future of work further evolving in the coming decade?
Well, so it's like a crystal ball gazing,
yes.
But it'll be hard to get back to the pre-pandemic era. It'll be hard. The workforce, it's been 2 years plus, and many organizations and very large number of employees have come to accept that your workplace is where you work from. So with different degrees in different sectors and pockets and organizations, depending upon the management style as well. It can vary, but it is not going to get back to the pre-pandemic era. And therefore, I think organizations would be, well advised to be ready to accept and embrace the fact that workplace is from where my people are working.
Yeah.
And once you accept that premise, then, the earlier question of coaching your managers to be able to work effectively, irrespective of where their teams are working for, building platforms where the loss of water cooler conversations, coffee hour conversations is made up of, more inclusive style of management, and all of that are the ones that are going to help. I think what is important is, in spite of all of this, organizations can still maintain their unique, if I may say, culture advantage that they have had, the certain style of running the organization that they have had, by creating platforms and opportunities where they reinforce these issues. You may not gather physically, but there are still things that you value, celebrate, reinforce in terms of values, cultures that you value. And so that the unique differentiators that you have had as an organization is not lost just because, there is no physical connect. So I think if these are some of the trends that I see, and those organizations that embrace it and still continue to reinforce the distinct advantages of people management practices and cultures that they have had, I think they will be the winners.
So true, so true. So thanks a lot, Pramod. Some very valuable tips for organizations out there who are grappling with how this future of work is going to shape up, and how do they keep their employees motivated, reward them well, evaluate them well, enable them to perform better. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Thank you. Happy to have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.